So let me now convene the Committee of the Whole. And we have three agenda items today. The first item is the approval of the minutes of the September 25th meeting. This is a consent item, so there's no objections. We'll deem the minutes approved. For the second item today, it's my pleasure to welcome several distinguished guests from our academic community here in California. First is our University of California President, Janet Napolitano. Nice to see you today. I was going to say Secretary, Governor. President. Nice to see you here today.
Janet works.
Right. And also with us is California Community College Chancellor Brice Harris. They are here today with our own Tim White, our Chancellor, to provide a joint presentation on areas of collaboration and common interest across the three systems. Chancellor White, would you please introduce our guests also and continue with the item?
Thank you, Chair Lynchide. Trustees, today we will touch on a number of areas that are already generating collaboration or hold strong promise to do so going forward. Each of us have brief comments and then we'll engage a discussion with you. You know both Brice Harris and Janet Napolitano, although you may not have met them until today. They are the real deal. They are warm, they are smart, they are committed, and they have a high work ethic. And they're approaching their tasks, as do I, with a strong valued-based approach when we have a wealth of past and current experience in large, significant organizations. These organizations currently and in the past understand and facilitate the common public good. And yet, on average, we've been on our job about 1 year. And so our collective newness and yet our experience creates a yin and a yang. And it really facilitates an opportunity at a crucial point of inflection in California and indeed in the nation about public higher education. Indeed, the list is long. The changing ecology of learning, the finite public resources, the public and political interest in student success and accountability, the evolving technology, evolving state demographics, demand exceeding capacity, just to name a few. So this confluence then enables a renewed conversation on arguably the most important enterprise for California's future economy, environment, and social mobility of its people. We have committed to each other to work relentlessly and together whenever and wherever it makes sense to reinvigorate California's commitment to public higher education. We'll do this with the public at large, with the governor, legislature, with the controller, with our boards, business leaders, students, faculty, staff, and alumni. And we will improve the understanding how our learning environments and our research and creative activity environments improve the quality of life for all Californians. This is the third such presentation, beginning on January 22nd, when Chancellor Harris and I were invited by President Napolitano to hold a panel before the UC Regents. And earlier this month, on March 3rd, Chancellor Harris invited us to visit with the California Community College governors. And today is the final of these three panels in front of you, the California State University trustees. As we discuss every time we gather, California's higher education is at a critical point. All three systems are being asked to do more than just rebuild, but rather we must revitalize our institutions to realize the mandate set forth more than 50 years ago in the venerable California Master Plan for Higher Education, a plan whose principles are sound, but whose some of the details need revitalization. And part of that revitalization comes from working better together by drawing on the combined size and resources and talents and capabilities of our institutions while ensuring that students are not lost in the gaps. And we are making quick progress together. In 2 months from the launch of this initiative, we've had a three-system conference in place, and in August 21st and 22nd at the East Bay campus, we'll host the first California Public Higher Education Collaborative Financial and Administrative Services Conference. And this conference will draw on the talent of around 200 people with efforts underway to explore streaming and capturing the procedures for off-site participation as well. Tracks will address building collaborative coalitions, coordinating cooperative procurement, and sharing services and building on the several current joint efforts that are yielding success. The three systems are exploring ways to really define the marketplace, if you will, by bringing in multiple contracted service or product providers that meet our base terms, giving choice at a lower cost due to competition. A recent successful contract for the joint purchase of software licenses between the CSU and the UC exemplifies this type of model. We pursued this model internally as well, negotiating power purchase agreement templates that allow multiple campuses to pursue solar panel installations, for example, at no upfront cost and reasonable long-term rates. But lasting success for California will come from finding strategic opportunities for collaboration and measuring the outcomes. We're working with the University of California and with the community colleges to explore these touch points or areas where the interests of all three systems align. These points are likely to yield the greatest benefit from cooperation and collaboration. We're in the process of defining common measures of success in these types of projects, allowing us to all communicate results effectively with policymakers. I would now like to invite President Napolitano to share her perspective with the trustees. Janet?
Well, thank you, Tim, and good morning to everyone. It's my pleasure to be here with you. And as the Chancellor mentioned, this is the third presentation that we have made, I think demonstrating visually what we are actually doing on the ground, which is uniting the forces of our three systems to see what we can do better for California students. Let me say how proud we are at the University of California to work in partnership with CSU and with the community college system to bring the benefits of higher education to California's students. And I must say, we've almost gotten over the fact that you stole one of our best chancellors. You know, the three of us lead amazing institutions, and together we are even stronger. Like my counterparts, I'm grateful to Governor Brown for a much improved fiscal situation. But all of us know we still face serious challenges, and meeting them will depend on our collective strength. Our central challenge is how to provide the same level of opportunity to future generations of Californians that previous generations have enjoyed. A more seamless and integrated approach to higher education is critical to this. So one of my key initiatives as UC president focuses on streamlining and improving transfers. This is an initiative that ultimately benefits both UC and CSU, as well as the California community colleges. The goal is to facilitate moving students through higher education in California more quickly. This begins with making sure students are well prepared at the K-12 level. IT can play a role here. We are looking at how to best develop a web portal that helps students track their progress from high school through community college and on to a four-year university. We need to ensure transfer curricula are coordinated and transparent so students know what to do to prepare for either CSU or the UC. This also helps students avoid accumulating unnecessary and repeating courses. Once transfer students arrive in our universities, we need to make sure they can complete their degrees quickly and that they graduate. Along with improving the transfer process, we can also do more together to lower costs and increase efficiency. This is an area where Chancellor White reached out to us almost immediately upon assuming his role at CSU, and we are making important strides together. We have joint efforts on procurement, such as when working with vendors like Dell and HP. Our system-wide travel management program, Connexus, is now used by both UC and CSU. Last year alone, it saved us approximately $7.9 million. Last July, the two systems came together at UC Irvine for the first ever Shared Services Conference. This year, as mentioned, CSU is hosting the second joint conference, and we've invited representatives from the community colleges to join us. We've also joined forces to increase energy efficiency. In the past 5 years, UC, CSU energy efficiency projects have resulted in the reduction of more than 150,000 metric tons of carbon. Going forward, all three of our institutions will work together to streamline and consolidate additional processes, saving time and saving money. I look forward to discussing these goals and initiatives with you today. But before we turn to discussion, let me make one final point. UC, CSU, and the community colleges were built by and belong to the people of California. With this ownership comes responsibility. All of us, segment heads, board members, trustees, all Californians, must protect and enhance our public higher education institutions. We must fight for the excellence we have attained to date. Thank you very much.
Chancellor Harris.
Thank you all very much for allowing us a little time on your meeting agenda today. It truly is a pleasure to be here to represent California's 112 community colleges, enrolling in excess of 2.1 million students annually. As my colleagues have said, this is a far better environment in 2014 than we saw over the past several years. As the state tumbled into a terrible financial crisis, those of us in higher education were certainly not immune from that. And in fact, in our segment, we saw our enrollment shrink from 2.6 to 2.1 million students, shutting out approximately 500,000 Californians from access to higher education. It really is a much better time and a wonderful time for the three of us to begin to talk about representing California higher education as a team. It's been clear to me in the short time I've been in this post how important my colleagues and their segments are to California's community colleges and to our students. I've had the pleasure of working not only with these two colleagues, but with many of the presidents seated behind me in the 20-plus years I have been in California. And as I've worked at first the college and then the district level with leaders from UC and CSU, I have found the environment to be a remarkable one. A spirit of cooperation has existed for a long time, but I think Janet and Tim and I are dedicated to underscoring that and making that level of cooperation much more public. California's community colleges are facing two significant challenges. The first one being returning the access we've lost over the past few years. And by the way, we see that restoration of access is not only important for our system, but for our colleagues in the UC and the CSU. Your own California State University system sees nearly 60% of the graduates who walk across the stage every year begin their education in a California community college, and that number for the UC approaches 35%. So our institutions are joined at the hip, so to speak, and the better we cooperate in restoring access to all three of our segments, the better service we're going to provide for California. I can't say enough wonderful things about the Associate Degree for Transfer, AB 1440 program that the California State University and the California Community Colleges have embarked upon over the last few years. We've created nearly 1,400 new associate degrees for transfer just in the past nearly 2 years alone. In the first year of just a portion of a year availability of that associate degree for transfer program, we saw 5,000 students granted those degrees, and I expect to see that number skyrocket in coming years. Combining that with initiatives that President Napolitano has already articulated about enhanced transfer with the University of California, we hope to reverse a terrible trend we've seen in the past few years of too many of our students leaving the state of California to go to public and private institutions in other states, and as all of us know, many of them never return. You've heard my colleagues talk about joint efforts in purchasing and business services and joint use of data to help our students move among our systems more seamlessly. The third area that we're interested in is a collective approach to more robust outreach in K-12 as our students of the future make their decisions about attending higher education. Too many Californians don't believe college is in their future. They simply don't think they can have access to the American dream by furthering their education. And so the three of us have dedicated to pushing down even further into middle school our outreach efforts, specifically with 7th graders, to again try to reach out to them early to help them understand that a California community college, a University of California, or a California State University education can and should be in their future. We're excited about these collective prospects. We're looking forward to continuing to report to you as a board about our successes. And as President Napolitano and Tim White said, we believe the future of this state depends on open access and increased success in our colleges and universities. And that's what we intend to work together to do. Thank you.
Chair Lindside.
Thank you. I want to express the board's appreciation, President Napolitano, Chancellor Harris, and Chancellor White for coming here today. We're extremely encouraged, obviously, by the collaboration that's begun so quickly upon each of your arrivals to your respective institutions. And I will gladly take one question from a member of the Board of Trustees.
What a statement.
Mr. Speaker.
The question will be, don't you agree? But now I'll make the statement. Having worked with each of your successors, and Chancellor Harris, with your successor for 18 years, but having worked with each of your successors and having enjoyed a great relationship with each of them, I really do think we are in a much better place today because of the level of cooperation between the three of you. Your predecessors all did a great job of running their institutions and all engaged in cooperative efforts, but that level of cooperation pales in comparison to what I've seen between the three of you. And I think as a result, the education community in California benefits from a much greater and more impactful voice that the three of you bring. And I want to thank you for what I expect to be a continued level of cooperation between the three of you. Don't you agree?
Yes, sir.
I guess that's when a response, a nod will do, I guess, right? So thank you.
But I think, Speaker Perez, Trustee Perez, I think the important thing is Jack and Mark and Charlie did work together more so than their predecessors. And I think that's one of the wonderful things about leadership is we get a chance to sort of stand on the shoulders, if you will, of those who've laid groundwork and made achievements in the past. And we hope when our time is done that we've solidified that foundation so those who will sit here in the future can then continue to take it forward. And I think that's a level of leadership that just sort of requires appreciation of the past, but confidence in the future. And I think that's what you have going today.
Well, thank you all for being here today. We really appreciate the report and look forward to continuing hearing about the progress that we're making within the three systems. Thank you. Let's give them a